NBA playoff basketball is here, and I could not be more excited. We just got done watching Game 1 between the Denver Nuggets and the Minnesota Timberwolves. This is a series I'm most looking forward to in the first round. It kind of feels like a rivalry over the last few seasons between these two teams. The Minnesota Timberwolves were built specifically to compete against the Denver Nuggets after the Nuggets won the championship. But today, the Denver Nuggets won 116-105 in an awesome basketball game that showed a lot of the things that I love about the Denver Nuggets and the reason that I picked them to win the NBA championship in my NBA postseason preview. The Denver Nuggets boast the number one offense in the entire NBA. And what I saw a few years ago when they won the title, and I talked about so much at the time, was they are able to get stops situationally. And that's what I think we saw again in today's game. The Denver Nuggets were down 10 points after the first quarter, tied at halftime. Looked like it was going to be a dogfight. You weren't sure how Anthony Edwards was going to come out. He was questionable coming into the game, but he was able to give it a go. He played 38 minutes, so, seemed reasonably healthy, and he played all right. The Denver Nuggets then, in the third quarter, really took a commanding 12-point lead heading into the fourth quarter. And one of the big things that I always talk about is the importance of third quarters. We see great NBA teams be great in the third quarter because sometimes at the start of a game, teams are feeling, each other out. Sometimes star players don't get involved super early. Jokic tonight in particular didn't shoot a ton early in this basketball game. But as you get into the second half and teams have made adjustments and you've seen the flow of the game, the way that it's going to be officiated, all those sorts of things, you see the best teams in the NBA start to prevail in those moments. And that's where the Nuggets took a 12-point lead going into the fourth quarter. In that fourth quarter, Minnesota Timberwolves started to make a run. They went on a 21-8 run, I believe the end of the third going into the fourth quarter. But that's when the Denver Nuggets started to execute at a very high level to finish this game out, winning by 11 points. And it's why I have so much faith and trust in the Denver Nuggets. It's because you see that number one offense in the NBA in those spots. They get excellent shots. And it's one thing we're going to talk about if the Nuggets advance into the next round. But when they played the Spurs a few weeks ago, every single time the Denver Nuggets had the basketball, they were able to generate an excellent shot. Where if you looked at San Antonio, it felt like a lot of De'Aaron Fox isoing and really struggling to get super quality looks. And that's something that I think translates beautifully to the playoffs when the game slows down. You're playing in that half court, and it's where Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets really thrive. This was not the best offensive performance by the Nuggets tonight by any means. They shot 28% from three-point range and only 44% from the field. Where they really did an excellent job is 30 of 33 from the free throw line. And that's one of the things when you're playing against the Minnesota Timberwolves. They're going to be a physical team. They play defense at a high level, and they defend you really aggressively. Rudy Gobert, Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, Julius Randle. All those guys are physical basketball players that are going to get up into you. And you just have to be able to withstand that, hit your free throws, and stay focused on the game. And that's what the Nuggets did tonight. So, obviously, when I say it was a tough offensive night for the Denver Nuggets, a tough offensive night for them is still an excellent offensive night for most teams. They just struggled from the three-point line. Primarily, when you look at Jamal Murray, he had 30 points in this game, doing most of his damage in the first half, but he was 0 of 8 from the three-point line. So that's one of the things that I'm so encouraged about and why I don't think this will be a very long series against the Minnesota Timberwolves. I would expect this to be over in 5 or 6 games. I'm picking the Denver Nuggets. But Jamal Murray, 7 of 22 from the field, 0 of 8 from the three-point line. He still had 30 points, and they still scored 116. Nikola Jokic, 25 points. We know he's a guy that's capable of putting up huge numbers in the playoffs, obviously, and the regular season, but he's shown the ability in the playoffs to take over on the offensive end of the court. Tonight he had 25 points, 13 rebounds, 11 assists, 2 of 7 from the three-point line. So as you're watching them try to break down this Minnesota Timberwolves defense, one of the big things that Rudy Gobert often will give Nikola Jokic is just kind of a decent look at an open three-point shot. So if Jokic is able to hit that shot consistently throughout this series, I don't think it's going to be that close. Rudy Gobert played a pretty good game tonight for his standards in the playoffs, but it was not enough to overcome this Nuggets roster. And part of the reason that I'm so optimistic about this postseason run for the Denver Nuggets is because I believe that their depth is different than it was in years past. Now, obviously, Peyton Watson, it sounds like is going to be out for all of this series. And we know that he was having an excellent season before his injury. It sounds like he's probably going to miss this series with a hamstring injury, but hopefully he's back for round 2 against the San Antonio Spurs. He's able to rest up, get healthy. But you still have pretty solid depth for the Nuggets. Obviously, your starting lineup, Jamal Murray, Christian Brown, Aaron Gordon, Cam Johnson, and Nikola Jokic. Cam Johnson is a guy that I like the fit with this roster, and we know that with Aaron Gordon in the regular season this year, the Nuggets won 75% of their basketball games. I believe the record was 26-9. I might, if that's not 75%, then I'm misquoting it, but it was somewhere around there. But they won 75% of their games, and he's really a key to a lot of what the Denver Nuggets do because of his ability on the defensive end of the court, but he plays so well alongside Nikola Jokic. And obviously a lot of players do, but I think the way that Gordon is able to slash to the rim and also hit that three-point corner shot when it's open and Jokic gets him a good look, I think is so valuable. The way that this offense plays off of each other, Jamal Murray can score in isolation. Nikola Jokic can score in isolation back to the basket. He can help generate good looks for other guys. You have shooters all over the court. All 5 guys have the ability to shoot the 3 ball at a high level. And coming off your bench, you have Bruce Brown. You have Tim Hardaway Jr. Jonas Valanciunas can step in and give you a couple big man minutes just to let Nikola Jokic get some rest, which is going to be important because you're heading into probably a tough round 2 series against the San Antonio Spurs. And if you win that, you'd obviously be playing a very tough Western Conference Finals against the Oklahoma City Thunder. So if you want to sustain health and sustain energy, you have to be able to find moments in games where you can get Nikola Jokic a little bit of rest. And I think that's why it's important that the Nuggets win this series easily, make it a short series, don't allow it to go 7 games. I think that will be hugely valuable. And then they have some guys today that they didn't even play. You know, guys like Zeke Naji, Julian Strother, guys like that, Tyus Jones, guys who made an impact in the regular season but didn't play in today's game. All in all, great performance by the Denver Nuggets, great execution in the clutch, and I think that is where the Nuggets are going to have an advantage on most teams on every team in the NBA, to be honest with you, is those crunch time minutes. So they might get blown out in a game here or there, in a night they just don't have it, but if it's close, you have to feel like the Nuggets have the advantage in all of those games, especially against a team like the Minnesota Timberwolves that feel like they don't have a lot of shot creators on the court at any given time. Obviously, we know Anthony Edwards is an awesome player tonight at 22 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists. He's a really good basketball player, but he is nursing an injury. So will he be 100% for the series? Oh, and the other thing I wanted to shout out, this is year 2 for David Adelman, the head coach of the Nuggets. Will he be more comfortable in the playoffs knowing what strings to pull? He's able to have this full season, to see his guys and to be the leader of the team. I think that'll be another positive piece. When you look at this series specifically, though, a few years ago, the Timberwolves had Karl Anthony Towns on their roster, and they replaced him with Julius Randle. And why I think that matters is because Karl Anthony Towns is a big body that it could at least go, physically defend Nikola Jokic. Obviously, no one can really defend him, but you're able to just throw another big body at him, where I don't think Julius Randle is as capable of guarding a big man like Jokic, even though he's strong and physical. I don't think he's quite, he's not quite as tall, and Cat just kind of had that ability there, stretch the floor a little better than Julius Randle. But again, this Timberwolves team, Anthony Edwards is going to be their primary, shot creator. Jaden McDaniels, not a great shot creator. Julius Randle, iffy, kind of can get his own shot, but not really going to set up your other guys. Rudy Gobert, we obviously know his offensive limitations, even though he had 17 and 10 tonight. And then Dante DiVincenzo, more of a catch-and-shoot three-point guy. So all in all, Anthony Edwards is going to have a ton of pressure to generate offense for the Timberwolves, and I don't think it's going to be enough to compete with what the Denver Nuggets are going to bring to the table. And I can't wait to watch the rest of this series because it does feel like a rivalry. It does feel like these two teams don't like each other very much. You saw some technicals at the end of the game, and I just think you're going to see some physical play. You're going to see some borderline dirty plays, and it should be a very entertaining first-round series. But ultimately, I think the Nuggets take care of business and win this series in 5 or 6 games. I would love to hear what you thought of today's game. Do you think that this is a sign of things to come for the Denver Nuggets, or can the Timberwolves find a counterpunch for what the Nuggets bring to the table? Appreciate y'all watching. If you love the NBA, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We're going to be covering the playoffs in depth. Appreciate y'all watching. Cyborg out.